Welcome back to another Ret Paladin video. Verabin here. Today we are taking a final look at the Final Verdict Legendary. It's receiving a 15% buff in patch 9.0.5. Is that going to catapult it into the best legendary slot for all situations? Stick around, let's take a look. All right, so I've been crunching the numbers on the Final Verdict changes on the PTR. As we mentioned in the intro, it's getting a 15% damage boost. It still has the 15% chance to proc Hammer of Wrath. That kind of has a pretty minimal impact on DPS, unfortunately. There's not going to be a really huge impact there. It's going to help a little bit, but that's not really what I'm concerned about. I'm more interested in the 15% additional damage to Templar's Verdict. When you look at how our damage breakdown works between the Templar's Vindication conduit and just hitting Templar's Verdict on a single target situation, it's going to be about 40% of our total damage. That's at least how it breaks down for my character. And this is going to scale really, really well as you get additional item levels on your weapon, because it's going to obviously be based on your attack power and your weapon damage and stuff like that. So point is, getting 15% additional damage on such a huge chunk is going to add about 6% additional damage on a single target patchwork kind of situation. Obviously, the impact of this is going to be a little bit reduced in Mythic Plus because you're mostly doing Divine Storm, right? So on the boss fights, you're still going to get a benefit from it, but I think overall you're likely still going to want to use, you're actually probably still going to want to use Tempest of the Lightbringer in Mythic Plus, but in raiding, and especially if there was some Mythic Plus that have more single target fights, you're definitely going to want to use Final Verdict. That 6% additional damage might not seem like a huge amount, but when you look at something like the Mad Paragon, that one only adds 3 or 4% additional DPS. So in PvE situations, I believe that Final Verdict is going to be the play. Depending on the Mythic Plus that you're playing in, it might not quite be as good as Tempest of the Lightbringer. Another kind of minor benefit to PvE that doesn't get borne out in the simulations is that the range on Final Verdict is actually 10 yards versus 5 yards on Templar's Verdict. So there are situations where that's actually pretty useful. It depends on the fight, so it's very fight specific, but that 10-yard range is obviously double the range, and it allows you to spend those holy power when you're a little bit out of range. So when there's crap on the ground, you can continue to do almost all of your DPS. Obviously, you can't do Crusader Strike, you can't do auto attacks, but you can still continue to generate holy power and spend holy power and stuff like that. So that's actually pretty useful in a variety of fights. But like I said, it's not really going to show up on the simulations, and it's not necessarily going to be one that's like on paper. It's not going to show up, but it is definitely something that you feel. It just feels better. If we head over to the PvP side, it's a little bit more complicated because a lot of us have been using the Reign of Endless Kings prot legendary that gives you some damage reduction, and if you're using the Royal Decree conduit, it's going to give you a free heal when you pop below 20% health. And unfortunately, that happens quite a bit in PvP. Ret Paladin is typically the kill target under almost every circumstance. So that's going to happen all the time. It can happen every 45 seconds. So you're going to be giving up that sort of pretty substantial survivability. You're going to be giving that up to be doing more additional damage. So in a lot of matchups, it's probably going to be worth it, especially if you think the fight is going to be over really quickly. So if you are facing certain types of cleaves, or if you are thinking that you're not going to be the kill target, then Final Verdict is probably going to be a really, really good play because it's going to increase your burst quite a bit. Templar's Verdict is a pretty huge chunk of our burst, actually. I mean, there's a lot of highlight goes to Divine Toll, but I think that Templar's Verdict can hit really, really hard. It's pretty easy to see 10, 12, 15, 18k Templar's Verdicts when you've got all your stuff rolling. So that's definitely going to be a really good pick. And then obviously an additional benefit it's not on the tooltip or anything for Final Verdict is that it does make you immune to disarm. And I guess I should say it's not immune to disarm, but you can cast Final Verdict through disarm. So against monks and against warriors, which are pretty common melee that we're going to see in PvP. Against those classes, this is going to be a really, really strong as well, because you've probably been on the other end of a disarm and you can't generate a whole lot of holy power. When you're disarmed, you can judge, you can do a few things, but you can't really do everything. So it's definitely going to be a big benefit against those specific comps. And just like in PvE, having that additional range is going to be pretty cool. I mean, there's going to be times where you're 5 yards away and you're rooted in place and you end up hitting somebody for 15k on your final verdict and getting the kill. So that's definitely going to be one of those ones that most of the time it's probably not going to happen. That's going to be a rare occurrence, right? Where it's going to save the day and you're going to get the kill. But during those times, you're going to really, really be happy that you had the final verdict legendary. All right, so in conclusion, is the final verdict legendary going to be the play in both PvP and PvE? I believe the answer is 100% yes. If you're looking for a legendary and you're a Ret Paladin, you're not sure which legendary to equip, this is going to be your best option for all-around viability. It's going to be really, really strong in raiding and doing world quests and stuff like that, of course, where single target damage is going to be most important. In Mythic Plus, it's not going to be as good as Tempest of the Lightbringer. However, it is going to be an overall one that is going to help you in most packs, right? But not necessarily in every single situation. But if you're looking for the best overall legendary that you can also use in PvP, that is obviously going to be, hands down, going to be final verdict. So this 15% buff is definitely going to make it more viable. It's going to make it a much better pick for new Ret Paladins as well. So if you enjoyed this kind of content, guys, please be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.